But no, normally around this time of year now, you're starting to get ready for training camp. So the WNBA draft is a week away. But it all feels a bit mental right now because of what's going on in the world. How are you coping? How's life with you?
Yeah, I mean, the blessing for me is that I just finished the season, so I'm not really too, disappointed like currently because at this point would be like kind of like our break time. Um, so I'm not like the NBA guys or any other sports that were going on at this time. Like I'm not like itching to be like back on the court or something right now. Obviously, it would be nice to, have something to look forward to in the next 2 weeks, with training camp starting. But I don't think it's going to hit me until, April 26th comes around and I'm supposed to be in Minneapolis with my teammates and our coaching staff. And then I'm going to be at home with my family, which has also been great. But um, we just have to stay patient and keep following the rules of social distancing and staying away from people and stuff. And I mean, my family, we've been doing a really good job of that, and I'm hoping a lot of the rest of the players have been doing the same.
Yeah, I think most people have been. It doesn't seem as if like um, athletes and that sort of thing have really been that stupid about the whole thing.
I think
And
athletes are the most like aware and the most like dedicated to it because it's impacting us directly, and it doesn't matter if like we don't have like one of those remote jobs. We can't work from home, and even if we do get a timeline for our season, like the gyms are closed, and a lot of people don't have access to gyms, and we have to do workouts at home. And I think everyone is getting used to that. But we're pro athletes, and they've taken away almost everything from us. To be able to do our jobs well. So I think that's just been the hardest part for everybody.
but I think that must be particularly tough, especially if you're going back to live with family. Like I don't know how it is for you, but if the prospect of me and my brother being in the same house, and being with my parents for several weeks on end, I think we'd go insane. But how are you getting on?
Actually, it's been really nice for us. My dad works a lot, and he's in LA. My mom and brother and sister, they're based in Atlanta. So he's always traveling. I obviously haven't really been able to be home for that long. Ever since I went to college. My sister, she lives in Orlando, goes to school at UCF. So this is really the first time in maybe like 5 years that we've all been in the same house together for more than like a few days. So it's been really nice. And it's funny because, the last time I was home for this long, like all my siblings were way younger. So now they're like older. We don't really get on each other's nerves like we used to. Everyone kind of does their own thing. My two sisters and brother, they're actually still in school. So they, have been doing that online. So, they've been staying busy. But for me personally, and I've seen like a lot of families, just how cool they are and how funny and goofy everybody's families are. So that's been actually really fun to see. Um, but yeah, like as a WNBA player, overseas player, you like don't really think about like getting your own place this
Yeah.
early in your career, which at this point I'm just like, dang, I wish I had my own place, but like, that's not part of the plan, like money wise or like career wise. Like it's just not smart to get your own place in the first few years of your career because we just move around so much. Like we're never in one place for too long. So but the fact that my family is able to have all of us here comfortably is really cool, and we're having a really fun time.
That's good. And your family, like you said, you are like working out together and stuff like that. For those who listen to Double Clutch podcast for the NBA side of things, they might not be aware that D Brown is your father, and so that must be pretty interesting having a sort of coach in the house anyway, who's always going to be sort of telling you to work out and that sort of thing. But did you? How old are you now? You're like mid-20s, aren't you? So so you, you won't have seen your dad. You won't have had too many memories of your dad playing when you were
No,
younger.
I was real young. So I mean, I remember being at the games a little bit, but it was towards the tail end of his career. So, I don't think he was like playing a ton. He was coming off injuries and stuff as well. So I just remember the atmosphere and being there, and I think that's really important. But yeah, for the bulk of his career, I was like a baby, so I don't really remember too much.
But he also coached in the WNBA for a little bit, didn't he? So
Yeah, he did. I remember that because I was in elementary school, I think. So I was like just getting started. And it was great because the season obviously is in the summertime. So the first team he coached was in Orlando, which we were living there at the time. So he was able to bring me to like practices, and we were at all the games, and we knew all the players and their families, and it was really fun. And then the next team was in San Antonio, so we just had to pack up our stuff for the summer and move to San Antonio, and it was a great time. And it was nice to be exposed to the WNBA at that like close of a like experience at a young age, because I knew like that moment I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to be in the WNBA. This is great. And then just to be able to witness the growth, from that point until now has been really cool as well.
and that must, in some ways, like obviously, you've got to work. You can't just walk onto a WNBA basketball court. But um, knowing knowing the ins and outs of like leagues, and knowing how just how professional basketball works. You're constantly on the road. You never get downtime, that sort of thing, or you make the most of your downtime when you do have it. That must have been a bit of an advantage for you, sort of knowing that perhaps ahead of some other girls who are trying to compete as
Absolutely.
well.
I mean, I just think like everything that you said, obviously, and then I just had a respect for the players in the league that I think, a lot of players don't have at a young age, because at least when we were young, I think they have it more now because the WNBA is more visible. But I know when I was younger, the WNBA was not that visible, so people didn't really see how hard these women worked, how talented they were, the fact that they had to go overseas for 8 months out of the year every year. And I think I was exposed to that at such a young age, and I just developed a respect. And then obviously, knowing that that was my goal, I was like, okay, this is the life that I'm preparing for. None of it's going to be a shock to me. It's not going to be a shock to me that we travel commercial. It's not going to be a shock to me that we're going to have grown men heckling us online all the time because for whatever reason. It's not going to be a shock to me that I have to go overseas for half of the year every year to make more money. So it was just easy for me to just put my head down and work because I knew everything that came with being a professional women's basketball player, and I was ready for all of it.
So you're entering your third year now, fourth year,
30 year.
and how are you settling in? Well, you've last season. So the first season you were with Connecticut, second season you were with Minnesota. What's it like working with Cheryl Reeve? How and especially last year, because like last year that was the first year without like Lindsay Whalen, Maya Moore,
Right.
even Rebecca Brunson, and Simone was injured for a lot of the season. That must have been a lot of pressure going into last season for you.
And you would think that, but I think the thing I loved about Cheryl is she adjusts very well. So I think she knew what kind of season people were expecting us to have, but she knew what kind of season we were also capable of. Like, I don't think anybody expected us to even make it even close to the playoffs, and we were able to do that. We had a lot of new faces, and she just did a great job making everybody comfortable. All the players that were already there did a great job of making us all feel comfortable, the staff. It was a really good learning experience for everybody. I know we were hit, with a lot of injuries as well. I think we could have made, even further push in the playoffs had we had like our entire team healthy. But I love playing with her. I actually talked to her yesterday. We were texting a little bit. We're all just so excited for our future together. And I think we're just really ready to, start this next journey, as a Minnesota Lynx. I mean, I think that they had a really amazing, 10-year span of just championships after championships. And I think that, we're kind of in maybe a rebuilding type situation right now. So I think we're just all really excited, to what's ahead for us.
But you've got a couple of great young players. I mean, yourself. I don't know what Temi Fagbenle's situation is, but we're a big fan of her over here, being a British athlete.
Yeah, I love Timmy.
And and of course, you got Nafisa Collier. There's a great young core there. What's your hopes going into this season?
Yeah, I think that we just are gonna be a team with a lot of energy. From last season, I learned that everybody on this team, like, there's really no egos on this team, which is always so helpful, especially when you have a team full of young players that you really need to learn the ins and out of the leagues. You kind of have to put your ego aside for a little bit until you get comfortable. I think this season we want to get Syl back to being Syl, and I think she's definitely like the best post player I've ever played with, and we just want to make her life easier. And I think it was a little hard for us last year, with our lack of consistent perimeter shooting from multiple positions. Because I think for us, it was like you had to swap out me and Steph, me or Steph, and we weren't on the floor together that often, because we didn't produce like D-Rob and Odyssey, so that was understandable. But we just want to make her life easier, and I think everyone is capable of doing that. I think we just want to have a lot of energy, have fun, obviously, not get too high or too low on the outcomes of games. But I think we're going to surprise a lot of people. I think everyone's really worried about all the teams, loading up on the free agents and stuff like that. But I think that we're going to surprise a lot of people for sure.
So what about, I mean, you mentioned you're a big fan of Temi. Well, have you got any sort of stories or memories of you guys playing together last year? I know I'm putting you a bit on the spot now.
No, Temi, well, because me and Temi kind of had like similar, roles on the team, like not like actually like me being a shooter, her coming in and, doing what she does, but like, some games we would both play like 20, 25 minutes, and then another game we'll play like 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah.
So we kind of were just each other's support system on the bench. If one of us, was having, a tough time getting into the rotation for a few games, we were always there, to keep each other uplifted and positive. She's always just a bright light on the court and practice and in the locker room and stuff, and I really love having her as a teammate for sure.
I've only met her a couple of times, but every time I do, she's if I feel like if she knows you, she's just like she just wants to be all over you and in your life, and she's like a really supportive, genuine person.
Yeah, she's so genuine, and her energy is unbelievable, and she has just such a positive light surrounding her at all times. And I actually saw her in Israel when I was playing there this year.
Oh, cool.
Team from Turkey was playing a Euro Cup team. So it was funny. They were in the locker room at halftime, and I was going to the bathroom, and like she was leaving and I was going, and we like stopped, like it was in the lobby, like it was in the lobby of the gym, like she has to go play, and she was like, Lexie, and we had like a little moment, and I was like, Temi, go, like you gotta go back on the court, like the buzzers just went off. So every time you see her, it's like just good vibes, and like I love that about her.
How did you enjoy your European experience? How many years have you been playing in Europe now?
This is my second year. Yeah, this is my second year. So last year I played in Hungary, which was an interesting experience. The league in Hungary is really good. I'll say that the basketball is definitely a high level for the most part. Just really cold there, and all the cities were like really far away from each other. So even if like you did have other friends or Americans on other teams, it was very rare that you got to see any of them. Usually everyone would just meet in Budapest, which is like literally like an hour and a half from like everyone. So Budapest was beautiful. It was amazing. I loved it. Loved it there. My city was only like 50 minutes. So I was there all the time, just hanging out, shopping, eating and stuff. So I had a really good experience. And then Rashonda Gray, who plays for the Liberty, she was my teammate. And I couldn't have asked for a better American to be with me my first season of playing overseas. She was awesome and awesome to play. Yeah, I love her. Like, she was the best. Like, I would have like been miserable without her for sure. And then Israel was like the complete opposite of Hungary. It was warm and Americans were all over the place. Everyone was super close. The league was a little, less elite, if I could say that. But it was filled with Americans. So um, the pace was fast. It was like really free flowing, which is really fun for me, because that's not usually how I play. So I kind of had to adjust my game, and that was a challenge for me in the beginning. But then I kind of got the hang of it and ended up having a really good, season personally. Hopefully, I'm hoping I can go back to Israel. I had that much of a amazing time there, met a lot of really cool people. So I'm 2 for 2 for Europe for so far. I'm a fan. I love it. It's hard being away from home for so long, but that's what people visit for.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
it's fun.
So entering your third WNBA season, what I mentioned earlier, WNBA draft just a few days away now. What advice would you give to sort of any first year players coming in? I mean, I don't know what advice you can give to any player coming
Right.
to the league this
It's
year.
right now. These are the type of circumstances like you never plan for and you can't plan for. I think that for the young players coming in, they just have to look at it in a positive way, that they don't have to go to training camp 9 days after they get drafted. Um, that's really the only positive thing. I know that some of them don't even have access to gyms and stuff, and I'm sure that, some people are finding ways to, be able to uh, keep working on their game. But I remember when I got drafted, it was just like it was a whirlwind. Like, I went to the draft, got drafted, woke up the next morning because I had to go to class. So I was in class the next morning, and I had to stay in school for the next couple days. I had to take my finals 2 weeks early because I had to get to training camp. Didn't get to go back for graduation, so it was just like,
Yeah,
it was my second graduation, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But it was just like a whirlwind, and I think that even though the circumstances are, not ideal for any of us, I think that this rookie class, they have a chance to like breathe and take it all in. And I know that they were robbed of their tournament, robbed of the draft day experience, which is so sad for them. But they're still achieving their goal. Um, and I think the training camps this year, if we have training, I don't know how they're gonna like do this all for us, but
yeah.
I think the rookies are gonna come in, super ready and eager because they have some time to, get it together. So that's the only thing I can say, and just be ready to learn, be a sponge, have a lot of energy.
I guess that's one thing I was going to ask you a little bit about, the sort of delay with everything, because we're delaying training camp, we're delaying the season. How how are you? How does that affect your mindset as you're trying to stay fit? Because you might be thinking, no, I got to keep my body ready. I got to make sure that I don't slip. I've just come off an
Right.
overseas season. I was in good shape. I need to keep that. But at the same time, you're like, well, I might not play for 3-4 months. What's the,
Right.
how are you balancing that?
I think for me, and I can't speak for everybody, but for me, like, I'm a workout like crazy person, and like you can ask any coach or teammate of mine, like I'm always working out, like no matter what. Like in college, like our strength coaches had to be like, Lexie, can you like take a break? Can you like leave? Like go rest. You guys have a game tomorrow. Why are you still here? Like type of things like that. So for me, like this is not really an issue because whether we have this season in 2 weeks or 2 months, like I'm gonna work out,
Yeah,
this. But like for like game stuff, like you can't be in game shape unless you're playing in games and playing pickup or playing in practice. So I think everyone is gonna come back, and it's gonna take some time to everybody get their wind in that aspect. But it's up to us as pro athletes to keep some type of physical fitness level, and it has to be elite. And I think that's just the way it is. And But not everybody is built that way, and it's fine. Some people like just don't work out. Like I've had plenty of teammates who are just, they show up, do their thing on the court, and they leave, and then they come to practice and they do what they have to do, and then they leave, and they have had so much success with that. And I've never been that way. I've never been able to do that because if I take too much time off, I just feel like I'm just going to lose a lot. And then I always feel like, okay, I'm not working, but so-and-so's working. I know this person's working. I know this person's working. And, that keeps me going as well. So I think that everyone is, dealing with this in their own way. But, working out has never, ever been an issue for me. So, this break is, just trying to get me to get creative, I guess, since we don't have any gyms. So kind of make it work at the house.
So talking a little bit about college there, your final year, you were a Duke Blue Devil. Well, I guess your final 2 years, you were at Duke. Prior to that, you were at Maryland. Was that
Yes.
correct? Yeah. And there's been a lot of chatter this year because it seems like there's been a lot more transfers than previous years, and I've seen you being a little bit on your soapbox about it, because there's been a lot of criticism of that, but you've got a bit of an insight into transferring college,
Right.
sort of thing. What's your view on all of that?
I just feel like, I will agree, like this season, it's like kind of a ridiculous amount of transfers. I remember there was a point where, transferring was like a super rare thing. Like if you went to a school, like you were stuck there. I just think that people are so, they get caught up in the wrong things sometimes when they're younger, which is understandable. And then now with everything on social media, it's so easy to get influenced by all types of different things. Like, it's not just you and your family and your close circle making these decisions anymore. You got players posting their top 20 schools on Twitter. Like, why? Like, why are you doing that? So, and you have everybody weigh in. So, like, maybe your heart is set on this school, but then you have 50 people say, go here, go here, go here, go here. You might not know any of these people, but now they've planted a seed, and you're like, well, should I go to this school or should I go to this school? Even though I don't know this person, but that's what they said.
Yeah.
I just think that players, like I said on my Twitter, that things that were important to me when I was in high school were not so important to me when I was, a junior, and vice versa. But when I chose Maryland, like I loved everything about Maryland, but honestly, if they had stayed in the ACC, I probably would have stayed at Maryland.
Right.
So my dream was ACC basketball. Like I knew I was going to end up at an ACC school. I knew that. And Maryland was an ACC school, and they had everything I wanted, and I loved the program, and they had a championship and conference championships, and it was just like my dream, like all wrapped up. And then they made the switch, which obviously wasn't their fault. It was football related. And I was like, okay, well, we get 1 year in ACC, and then we'll see how Big Ten goes, and then we'll make decisions after that. And we had a really successful season in the Big Ten, and it was just like, it just wasn't like fulfilling like what I wanted as like a college experience. And it had very little to do with like my teammates and the coaching staff and the school itself. But at the time, I didn't feel like I had to explain that to anybody.
No.
I just kind of left, and I left it at that. And I had a conversation with Coach Freeze and the athletic director, and I just left. Like I didn't make a big spectacle of it because that's never been my style. But I feel like people can weigh in on things like that because people make it other people's business, like announcing on social media that you're transferring. Like I've never been a fan of that, and now it's just like kind of like what people do now. But again, like people have to find their happiness and find their peace, and it's not always about basketball. You don't know what's going on in people's lives and what they're dealing with. So I think that people just need to be a little less critical on the transfers, because not everyone owes an explanation. And sometimes they're doing it to save reputations. Like, you don't know like what's going on behind the scenes. So sometimes it's better that they don't say anything, and most don't. And I mean, I think that's credit to, putting that pressure on the kid to, keep things cordial and keep things professional when you have no idea what's going on, behind the scenes on that team and that program. So I just think that people need to just take it easy. Now, if a kid transfers like 2 or 3 times, okay, maybe you can be like, maybe there's something wrong. But first time transfer, I think that, they just need to relax a little bit, I think.
It seems like it's a lot more professional. It's a lot more like free agency sort of thing in some ways. And I think going back to what you're saying about the people shouting about it so much, I think the people that don't shout about it or don't make a big fuss, the ones that handle it professionally and in a mature fashion, I think they are the players who are possibly even going to catch the eye of, even though they're not making a big fuss, they're the ones that are going to be attracting professional scouts and saying, listen, this person was not an issue. They transferred for this reason. There's a genuine explanation about it, and nobody's feelings got hurt because everybody handled it well.
Exactly. And I think that when you transfer, I think the worst thing to do is just kind of transfer thinking that it's going to be like your high school recruitment all over again. And I think that's what some people want, and that's what some people need in their life at the time is, oh, they want me, they want me, they want me. Like, you now have college experience under your belt. Like, the tables kind of turn when you transfer. Like, now you are like, this is what I need. Like, I know how I play in a college system. I know how college works. This is the type of program that I need to fit me. And I think that's where some players miss again, is they've now matured a little bit, been in a college environment, and then they choose another program that doesn't fit them. And that's circling back to listening to the outsiders. Like, they don't know like what makes you happy. They don't know like if the school that you want to go to has the major that you want, but maybe they're not a top 10 program. Okay, so you put out your 5, and nobody says anything about the school you want to go to. That can influence a kid for sure. So it's best to keep it close to home and not worry about what everyone else is going to think or what everyone else is going to say. Because if you are as good as you believe you are, then it really shouldn't matter what program you go to. And then you should always leave a program better. You should leave it better than what it was when you got there. Yeah. If you have that mentality, I think that you'll be able to make a correct choice. I'm not saying, me personally, Maryland was not an incorrect choice. Like, I loved it. I had an amazing 2 years there, and I committed in 10th grade. So I was at Maryland for 4 years, it seemed like, because I was always up there. And I don't regret going there. Like, I loved everything about that school. So for me, I think I have one of those unique situations where I just kind of had to make a change for myself, for my family, because I needed them around me. And I didn't think I was going to need them that much in college, because I was, you're in college, you're like, I can't wait to leave. Yeah. Never going to see my parents, da-da-da-da. And then I get to year 2, and I'm like, I miss my mom, I miss my dad, I miss them in the stands. Like, they don't come to visit. Everyone else's parents get to visit. So it's like little things like that. But I think every year, especially if they take this transfer sit out rule out, I think it's just going to be even more transfers every year. And I don't think it's going to ever get better. So
I sort of felt the same way when I went to university in the UK. Like, I'm originally from Wales, the little country next to England, and everybody who I was growing up with in school, they all went to universities in Wales, and I thought, I wanted to go do my own thing. And by the time I'd done a full year, they had been all my old friends had been hanging out with each other, and I was left over there with like no real friends anymore. And I was like, oh man, why did I go away? But
yeah, like, it's different. You don't understand until you get there. And they're
Yeah.
like, "Dang," like, I mean, I always knew I loved my family, but like, I really was like, I need them at my games. Like, I need them here. And, that was one of the biggest influences as to why, I decided to, leave Maryland for sure.
So, um, with the with sitting out for a year, when you transfer, because you're not allowed to directly go back into the basketball system, or the sporting system. What what's what's that like coming back? Like, because you sit out for a whole year, that must be quite
Right.
difficult. So how do you keep up your for any players transferring now, what advice would you give them to sort of make sure you stay game ready and you keep
Yeah.
improving?
I mean, you do everything except for play. So like you're in practices, like some teams let their transfers travel, some don't. Like you're pretty much like a glorified manager, I guess you would say, like during game days and stuff. Um, I just think you just have to go into the year like with a positive mindset. Playing on the scout team is fun. Like you don't get in trouble for anything in practice. Like you can work on your game. You can do that. You always have the ball. Like
Yeah,
it's like you just have to look at it in the right perspective. Um, and then just work on yourself. Like you don't have to worry about anybody but you for a year. And like that's not a thing in college, because in college it's like you always team, which is amazing. I love it. But when on your redshirt year, you're not playing. You have no influence on the outcome of the season except for in practice, which the coaches like are barely even worried about you because you're not playing.
yeah,
Like you get to worry about yourself for a whole year. You can get ahead in school if you want, take some harder classes if you want, because you're not going to be on the road. Um, Meet some friends that aren't athletes. I got to be like a regular student for like a little bit, so that was really fun, a really good experience. You just have to go in with the right mindset. You can't feel like you're a prisoner to the red shirt year. So you just have to enjoy it and make the most out of it.
so a couple of days away from the WNBA draft, Minnesota Lynx this year. Have you got any players that you've seen in college this year? I don't know how much you've managed to watch college, because like over in Europe, watching NCAA college basketball is quite difficult. But um, have you got any players? You might want to shout out a couple of Duke or Maryland players. Of anyone that you think would fit well.
Well, I don't. For us, I know we have the sixth pick. Um, I don't know where Cheryl's head is at for us, like draft wise, because I don't know, if she's gonna get us another point guard or she's gonna get us another big. Like she can go any direction, really. I think we have more pieces than people think. So it's just all about what direction Cheryl wants to go in this season. And obviously she's going to make the right choice because she usually does. And so I'm not worried about that. But I'm going to shout out Haley Garecki, obviously, my Duke girl. I got to play with her just for a little bit. Her career was, filled with injuries, at least when I was there. So to be able to see her, get back to being herself and having the two seasons that she's had back to back. And then bringing, even though they didn't have a tournament, obviously Duke was going to be in the tournament. It was going to be her first tournament that she got to play in. So I was like really happy for her to be able to experience that. So shout out to Haley. Who else? I don't know. Like these are like the babies, so like I don't really know like
Yeah.
a lot of them personally, because they're so much younger. I feel so old. Oh, and then I'll shout out Taya Cooper from Baylor. We played AAU together for a little bit in Atlanta. So seeing her finally find a place where she was happy and she was thriving. It took her some time, but she got there. She had an amazing season. So I hope that, a team picks her up because she's been a pro since we've been little. Like she's pro ready, and it might not look like it all the time at the college level, but I know her and I've worked out with her and I've spent time with her, and she is a pro for sure.
Yeah, I like I explained, we don't get to see much college over here, so uh, so keeping up with it is quite difficult, and I usually rely on sort of, you know, March Madness to
Right.
figure out people's names. But I think even Taya Cooper has even popped up on a couple of uh, videos that I've watched and articles that I've read. So yeah, my understanding is I think she's going to be reasonably well looked at. But yeah, that's me speaking from a purely armchair amateur sort of viewpoint.
No, she's gonna definitely make an impact, and I just hope that a team, takes a chance on her, and um, she's ready. She's definitely ready, and I think this rookie class is gonna come in and make some noise, and I always love seeing that because I feel like my rookie class made some noise. So
Yeah,
um, we'll just see, what type of moves that teams make, with all this going on, and I'm just excited for them. This is the next step in their career. This is what they've been working for. So I just hope that all this that's going on doesn't, put a huge cloud over their accomplishments, because getting drafted, being considered to get drafted, like that's just a huge achievement. And I just hope that they know that.
yeah, most definitely. Okay, I won't keep you too much longer, but I've got a couple of quick hitters for you, if you don't mind. So we got I don't know whether you've seen, but the NBA, to try and combat this lack of gameplay at the moment, they're putting together this horse competition.
I saw
Uh,
that.
don't know whether you've seen the full field, but of course, Ali Quigley is.
I'm
Uh,
going,
you
I'm
reckon?
going with that. That's it. We don't have to talk anymore about it. I'm going with Allie. Unless they start dunking or something, like it's Allie. Well, she's going against Trae Young, I think, so there will be no dunks in that round. I know. So I'm going with Allie for sure.
You're pretty confident. That's good. Good. Yeah. No, I think I'm with you. I think there's a lot of people who have been, on NBA Twitter, who you can tell don't really follow women's basketball all that much, and
They don't know who
yeah,
Allie Quigley is.
they're not going to have a clue what's going to hit them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be good. Are you in? Will you be watching that tournament? Are you watching the 2K tournaments and things like that?
I've been seeing clips on Twitter. I'm not a big gamer, so I'm not really like interested. But it's been funny seeing like the guys like trash talk each other and stuff. Um, I don't really. I've gotten so used to like not having cable, so
Yeah.
like overseas, like I just watch movies and stuff. So like I've just been on Netflix. Like I put on cable the other day, and I was like, I don't even know like where the channels are. Like what do I even watch? Like so I pretty much stick to like Hulu and Netflix for the most part. But I'll definitely be tuned into the horse for sure.
Cool. Cool. One thing I've been keen to sort of put an article together. And so this is the first time I'm asking this question, but I want to get viewpoints from a lot of different WNBA players. You see a lot of there's a long history with the shorts, the style of shorts, the WNBA players, where going back to when the league first started, they basically gave them they gave the WNBA players the equivalent of like the NBA shorts, and they were sort of big and baggy, and but there seems to be a lot more styling around them these days. Some women prefer different short lengths. You seem to be sort of a mid-length short but tucked up, so it's sort of like a short.
Yeah.
Um, what's your preference? Are you a shorts
Yeah,
or?
I like well now. So I started rolling my shorts like that because at Duke, the shorts that Nike gave us, they were like really unflattering on everybody. So like, and they weren't very comfortable. So it was just kind of to fix the shorts. Like they didn't really look like that great. Like when I first started rolling them, it was just like I needed them to be more comfortable.
Yeah.
And then like that was just like the beginning of or like that was my junior year. I just kind of like tucked them a little bit, and like I just didn't care. But then my senior year, I kind of like made a more like cognizant effort to make them look nice. And then now I just like I put on shorts and it's like muscle memory. I just roll them. So it's like that's just like what I do. And I know there's like a few other players who roll them. And for us, it's like people think, oh, you just want to have shorts, like shorter shorts. I'm like, no, they're just more comfortable this way. Like
Fair enough.
I'm just used to it now. But yeah, and they look cute. Like what's wrong with wanting to look cute on the court? Like why is that ever a problem? So
That's right.
well, there's a few of us who roll our shorts in the league. So But a lot of people roll their shorts now. Some NBA players roll their shorts now too. So hopefully they'll leave us alone about
And we've even seen, I think it was after Asia Wilson's first year, Asia Wilson kept on bunching up her jersey at the top, and then all of a sudden you start seeing like LeBron do it and stuff like that, you
it.
know?
Yeah, like it's sometimes it's like a nerves thing. Sometimes it's a comfort thing. Like everyone just has their style, and you want to be comfortable always. So I mean, I think that's what it is for all of us. We just want to be comfortable, look good, play good.
So talking about looking good, and talking about Nike, you tend to play in Nikes, I think, most of the time, right?
Hmm.
And I think even last year you had those custom Duke Kobe ones. They were pretty awesome. But I also know you're big into your Vans shoes.
Love bands.
So
Yeah,
what? It,
everything.
so if it came down to it, would you pick Nike or Vans?
Oh, Nike for sure. Because you
Yeah,
can't play basketball in Vans, so I have to go with Nike for sure. Um, but yeah, I have like all types of shoes. I don't discriminate. I'm not signed with a brand.
yeah, yeah.
But, obviously, you have to wear Nike because the league is sponsored by Nike. But um, I haven't really tried any other brand basketball shoes, which I probably might in the future. But for like off the court stuff, I have Vans, Converse, Adidas, heels, obviously. But I like all types of shoes. Definitely I love shoes.
Um, so last main question then. Last year, I think it was a game against the Sparks. You guys were down 4 points, of course. So Sparks, Lynx, it's always a must-watch anyway. You were, I think it was Odyssey Sims had the ball passed into her as an out-of-bounds play. No, Sims dribbled to the middle of the floor. You flared up on a screen up to the top of the key.
Oh, I threw that shot up off the backboard.
Yeah. What were you thinking when that went in? Because like it was your left hand, was it even? And you were absolutely smothered by the defender.
My thought was, so in basketball, like when the shot clock is going down, it is like if you have the ball with 4 seconds or less, unless someone is wide open, you do not give another person the ball. Like giving them like a bomb, like a grenade. Like
So this was Odyssey's fault.
it was Odyssey's fault, yes. But my thought was, I mean, first I was like, okay, Odyssey think like they give me the ball in those moments because they think I can hit that shot. So thank you, Odyssey. But my thought was, okay, we're down. Sill's down there, so let me just get the ball on the rim because then Sill can just rebound it. That was what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Get the ball on the rim so we don't get a shot clock violation. And then it went in. So I was like, all right, cool. But yeah, I went in and I was like, wow. I've never hit a shot like that in my life. Probably won't again. But to have it that day, it was way day on ABC. The gym was like packed. It was like amazing environment, atmosphere. So for that shot to happen at that moment, I wish we won the game,
Yeah.
but we definitely had a chance to. But that was like definitely one of the most fun games of the entire season. So.
I think it was that shot that brought you guys within one. So that was the shot that essentially gave you the chance to come away with the W. But yeah, it's not to be that time. Okay, so you're becoming one of the better shooters in the league. What's your aim this season? Where do you want to see yourself? Where do you want to see the team?
Definitely, I want to be the best shooter in the league. I mean, that's my goal. I don't know if that's going to happen this season or in a few seasons, but I think after finally getting real experience in games last season, I think I was able to feel like I have the potential to definitely be one of the better shooters or the best shooter in the league one day. I just think I want to bring more to the table also. Like I don't want to pigeonhole myself into just being a shooter. I think I have so much more to bring to the team, and I think that last year I just I had a role that I needed to fulfill, and I was happy to do it. And I just think that this season I'm gonna be given even more responsibility. At least that's what I've understood from my conversations with Cheryl. So I'm really excited about that. And I just, like I said before, I think that we're just gonna have a lot of energy. I think we need to just have a lot of fun this season, get to know each other even more, because it is still fresh faces for the most part. A lot of us are in year 2 and 3, um, and just get back to having a Lynx dynasty. And I think that's what we all want to be a part of, and we want to bring championships to Minneapolis.
Cool. Cool. Well, that's perfect. I'll let you get on with your day. Been very kind to give us plenty of time, but thank you. And yeah, hopefully we're not waiting too long for the season to start. Uh,
No, I'm not.
make sure you stay sane, make sure you stay healthy, and we'll see you soon.
True. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.